and welcome to episode 4. We start the episode with breaking news. ABC has canceled Lucky 7 after just 1 week of performances, which is exciting because I thought that show was ridiculous. Now, if they would only cancel Super Fun Night, I'd be happier. This week there was no theme with Dancing with the Stars. Julianne Hough, which is Derek Hough's sister, performed as a judge this week as Len Goodman was off doing Strictly Come Dancing in Britain. So we had a guest judge. Her name was Julianne Hough. And she was a pretty good judge, too. She wasn't, favoring her brother or any of her old partners that she used to dance with. And she really did really good as far as giving comments nicely and not, favoritism. So let's get with the scores. Jack and Cheryl had the quick step. Great job. Very few missteps. Jack was very self-conscious about this week's dance. He didn't think he could do it. They had a rough rehearsal, but they got through it, and they got a 24 out of 30 for their hard work. Elizabeth and Val, as usual, Elizabeth is definitely captivating the audience. They had a hilarious rehearsal. A lot of them did this week. Just trying to make it easier for them to learn. Through different interesting teaching methods. They had the Argentine tango, and they got one of the highest scores of the night. They got 27 out of 30. It should be interesting to see how far Elizabeth goes. I think she's going to go quite far. Brant and Peta had the salsa. An ambitious try for 3 injuries. He had 2 himself. He had his ongoing foot injury plus an old motorcycle injury from a few years ago, and Peta had a little bit of a head issue because of a trick that they tried to pull for their dance, and it didn't work. She's fine, and they still danced and everything, but they got a 21 out of 30. There wasn't a lot of salsa movements. It was very fun to watch, however. Valerie and Tristan, they had the Viennese waltz. She was still a little bit off. Like you could tell when she let go of Tristan, when they were not in hold, she screwed up a lot. So she's got a little bit of a trust issue with herself. She's great when she's in hold with Tristan, and her moves are sharp, and everything is great. And then the minute they leave hold, like if she has a solo or a part where she needs to dance by herself, she gets all screwed up. 18 out of 30, that's 2 points better than last week. We'll get to her in a minute. Leah Remini and Tony Dovolani had the cha-cha. Great energy, very funny rehearsal. Her legs were a little off, but other than that, she was great. 24 out of 30. I also think she's going to go quite far. Corbin Blue and Karina Smirnoff had the Paso Doble, which is my favorite dance, besides the contemporary. Very mesmerizing, passionate, and it took the paso back to its original roots, which was really cool. It was very, very traditional, not extremely modern. It was great. 27 out of 30. Snooki and Sasha had the jive. She got a bad cold during rehearsals from traveling back and forth because her family comes first and her partner understands that, so they go and rehearse in L.A. Or wherever they live. I think it's New York, and then they go back for the show, so it's a lot of traveling, and it just caught up with her. But considering she was sick all week, they had a great comeback with the jive. 24 out of 30. It was a cheerleading theme. They did the song Hey Mickey from Hairspray. I think that's where it's from, which was kind of cool. Christina and Mark had the foxtrot. Christina definitely redeemed herself this week. She was in the bottom 2 last week, which is a little scary because I thought she was good. But obviously her fans are not voting for her. Good energy, a bit overly touchy for a typical foxtrot. Foxtrots are not supposed to be extremely provocative, and hers was a little on the risky side. But it was a good dance. Amber and Derek had the tango, the only tango of the night, besides the Argentine tango that Elizabeth and Val had. She had a knee injury, which is normal for someone of her size. Her knees eventually will start giving out. And that's pretty much just what's happening slowly. But as she loses weight, which hopefully she's doing with this exercise, she will continue to heal. And They had great footwork, and the knees were naturally a little stiff, but we expected that. They still got a 27 out of 30. Bill, Ingville, and Emma had the salsa. It was a funny rehearsal, as usual. Lost footing in a couple places, but very entertaining. 21 out of 30. And sadly, as I called it last week, we lost Valerie and Tristan this week. I knew that was going to happen because Valerie's scores have been okay. She's been hiding behind Bill Nye the Science Guy's scores, which have been less than okay. And he left last week. So I kind of had a feeling that she was going to go this week. Obviously, her fans have decided to let her go. And she gave it her best. She's 74 years old. She's supposed to be dead by now, according to the doctors. So for her to be lasting until almost week 5 is pretty impressive. And kudos to Tristan McManus, who is by far my favorite partner. He always seems to get the older stars, and he does a great job with them. He's improving each season, and I look forward to seeing who he has in season 18, if there is one. And I'm not doing a spoiler alert by saying if there is one. I'm just, stating a fact. You never know what they're going to do. It's TV business. But, he's had Nancy Grace, and she lasted almost to the end of the season. That was his very first season, was with Nancy Grace. Then he had Gladys Knight. He did pretty good in that round. I think he lasted, again, up until like week 6 or 7. And then last season he had Dorothy Hamill, and I think if she hadn't have had to pull out for an injury, they would have lasted a while. And then this season he's with Valerie and lasted to season 5. Next week is Personal Stories Week, which is my favorite week of the season because you get to learn about the different stars and what happened in their lives before the cameras started rolling and before, we knew who we were. There's been stories of drug abuse in the past where the star is a drug user and has some revelation and gets clean and chooses a song that fits how he felt at the time. There's been people who have lost parents at a young age, or Dorothy, if she would have stayed through Personal Stories Week, she probably would have chosen the year she was diagnosed with cancer because it humbled her, we'll put it that way. And the same thing with Valerie. Both Dorothy and Valerie were eliminated the week before Personal Stories Week, so I find that kind of interesting. It'll be interesting to see the different stars and what they pick, and it usually produces the highest scores because the dancers have a connection. They have a personal tie to why they're dancing. They're dancing to redeem their life. They're dancing to remember their father or their mother. They're dancing to remember a happy time in their life. They have a connection that goes beyond just their partner, and it's interesting to see what happens. Especially with Snooki, I think a lot of people are underestimating her because of her past. I don't know what her past is, and I don't care to research it because, quite frankly, after this season is over, I'll never hear from her again, and I'll never see her again. It's, not something that I'm going to research. It's not like researching the symptoms of cancer, that might play into your life later on. It's Snooki is Snooki, and she's going to stay Snooki. But we don't know, like, just this week we learned that she had anorexia because she was trying to fit in with the cheerleaders. People, what he was sinless cast the first stone. And we'll leave it at that. I didn't have enough time to watch any movies this week, so there is no reel-to-reel review. However, I've added a restaurant review section, which might not be on every week, depending on, if I ever go out to eat during the week. And then also a TV show review for this week, along with other goodies. So let's start off with the restaurant review. A couple months ago, we tried a new restaurant down the street called Eli Pizza. The only place within delivery distance that has seafood is Elite. It's a small pizza place, like I said, down the street from us, and they have catch of the days each day, obviously, for seafood. And, you know, one particular day that we ordered, it was fried clams. And I've had better fried clams, to be honest with you. They were very, very extra sandy, and I know clams are supposed to be sandy. But these, like, I swear to God, I didn't even think they were washed. Their French fries were also something to be desired. They were not very crispy, and they were not salted at all. Most restaurants will at least lightly salt your French fries. The coleslaw was creamy and delicious, so that gives them some extra pointage. Overall, I would give this place a C+ to a B-, depending on what you order. Obviously, seafood is not their specialty, but it's a good thing they offer it. Otherwise, we'd have to go to places like Lobster Boat or King, Weather Vane or whatever. I have had their spinach pie, and that is to die for. That's like an old-fashioned Greek recipe with spinach and phyllo dough. It's very yummy. Theirs is excellent. And their sandwiches are delicious, and they offer rye bread, which is not very common around here. Most pizza places and sandwich shops only offer like wheat, white, and then of course your wrap flavors. On Sunday, my sister was in the mood for her favorite pizza, which comes from a place called Pizza 911. It's staffed by off-duty firefighters and their families, and it's in Manchester's eastern side in the Cumberland Plaza on Hanover. I think it's Hanover. Might be Webster. I don't know. Anyway, they also just opened a shop in Hudson, and one day hope to turn it into a chain and branch outside of New Hampshire. Obviously, from their name, their main menu item is pizza and subs, but they do have salads and stuff as well. All of their menu items are listed from firefighter lingo. For example, appetizers or side orders are called usual suspects. The 5-alarm blaze is their severely spicy pizza, which a lot of places will call it hot corner or spicy pizza, something original. Theirs is the 5-alarm blaze, which goes with their firefighter theme. Our favorite is the Junior Cadet in this house, which is a basic cheese pizza with mac and cheese bites and French fries on the top. It is so good. Obviously, it's rather caloric and very high in calories, but we try not to order it too much, but it's our version of comfort food. So when we feel like being lazy, that's what we order. Usually it's on a night when I have a lot of fudge orders and we don't really want to heat up anything, because that takes more time and more dishes, so we just usually order. And unfortunately, on Sundays, a lot of your Greek restaurants will close because Sunday is sacred to them. So, some of these places that we like to order during the week are closed on Sundays, so we have to go with either Domino's or Pizza 911. Even the Subway down the street from us is closed on Sundays, which sucks for me, because I love Subway. They offer your usual small, medium, and large, as well as extra large, and a gluten-free crust on any of their pizzas, which is really cool that they offer that, because a lot of places don't. They offer your standard appetizers from waffle fries to mozzarella sticks. They also have a special waffle fry that's called loaded waffle fries. It's kind of like nachos, only with French fries. You've got your jalapeno pieces, you've got your salsa, you've got your hamburger, you've got your bacon, you've got they're, of course, cheese. They're loaded. And they also have fried pickles, which are spicy fried, they are good. We had those on Sunday, too. And they do the spears, which is very rare. Most restaurants will only do the circular, the circular pickles. These guys do the spears, the long ones, and they're so good. And you always have your choice of dipping sauce. However, some of them come with specific sauces. For example, the pickles come with Thousand Island dressing, which actually doesn't go too bad with the crust of the pizza either. Their garlic and cheesy breads are shaped like a pizza, so there's plenty to go around. I mean, literally, they're round in shape. They come in a pizza box. They're huge. My sister and I love this place, so if you're in the mood for pizza, try Pizza 911. What's your pizza emergency? That's their slogan when they answer the phone. And yes, I made up the word slogan. It was supposed to be slogan. But anyway, next, the TV review. Since we can't afford the digital preferred package from Comcast and have no desire to deal with Verizon, my sister and I use Hulu to watch the shows we don't get on TV. She watches a variety of shows, as do I, but the theme amongst most of my shows is the paranormal, as I find them interesting. I've talked about celebrity ghost stories in the past, and that is by far one of my favorites. I'm currently waiting ever so impatiently for them to upload Season 4 back onto Hulu. They can only upload one season at a time due to licensing agreements, and they're always a couple seasons behind, which actually irritates me, but hey, rules are rules. I've already blown through Seasons 2 and 3. 1 wasn't available because it was too far in the past for them to, I guess, produce them onto the internet. In case the title doesn't say it, the show is about celebrities who share their own personal experiences with the paranormal. While a select few were of a negative, violent, or harmful nature, most of the stories were with friendly ghosts, a few of the spirits of family members returning to give a message. Valerie Harper was on I believe it was Season 2, the end of Season 2, or maybe the beginning of Season 3. And her story happened around the time when she was in a crossroads where she didn't know if she wanted to pursue acting because she wasn't getting any good parts, or if she wanted to just change to something else. And she was visiting a young friend, young male friend. I think it was an acting colleague, and they were just sitting around in his house. And she saw a figure watching her and smiling at her all the time. Whenever she looked over, this woman was smiling at her. And she appeared to be dressed in ancient theater-style clothing, as if she acted for a living in a past life. She later researched and found out that the spirit was exactly what she thought, and the woman gave her the strength to continue acting, and thank goodness, because her fans would not have their rota to cheer on for all of her great acting and now dancing that she did. I also recently watched a few episodes of Paranormal State. Although that show is cool, I'm not really a fan of it. It seems very staged, and they don't really seem to know what they're doing. For example, in one episode, the team was exploring a house and trying to communicate with whoever was spiriting the house. While they were exploring, a weird noise was heard with no explanation, so they took it as a sign and used it to eliminate the haunting from the house. At the end of the episode, during the update, it was discovered that it was actually one of the female explorers that made the noise. So the explorers aren't even honest with what they do. Needless to say, I crossed the remaining episodes off my watch list. Next on my list to watch is Season 5 of Top Chef Masters. That's on a station that I don't get, and unfortunately Season 5 is the only season available. So I guess I'll be a little kind of confused, but hey, a season is a season. Next on the list is a lot of people have been asking about my autograph collection that I talk about occasionally, and I figured I would share who I have autographs of. I have 84 autographs in an album so far, and I do have a list of celebrities that I want to write to see if they will send one. I just sent out Valerie Bertinelli's today. Valerie Bertinelli is on Hot in Cleveland. She plays Melanie, which I'm very excited to. Hello, the sun is acting up here. I'm very excited to see what happens at the beginning of next season. Excuse the lighting. The sun is currently moving, so it's reflecting off the wires outside my window. So I guess I look like a ghost right now, but hey, it works. I don't really have any place else that I can tape this except my room. So, and unfortunately, all my curtains, believe it or not, are down. And the sun is still glaring. So I don't know what I can do about that. If you have any suggestions, let me know. Again, there's no plug remotely available in the kitchen, so I can't record in the kitchen because my laptop's battery dies rather quickly. And, you know, the living room is taken up pretty much by my nephew's stuff and my sister's computer and my sister's everything. So I can't go in there. So yeah, I guess you're stuck with the sun until we can figure something out. Anyway, so a couple years ago, I was 13 when I started getting this brilliant idea to write stars. Once I found a website called Memreg, and it's a free website where you join up and you can that's a little better. You can basically type in a star, and if they have an address on file, it pops up. God, I look like I'm on fire here. I guess you're just going to have to deal with this because the sun is moving and I can't do anything about it. I've tried moving my camera, my laptop, everything. It just doesn't work. So, anyway, we'll just do this, and maybe I'll duck like this and you can see me. There we go. Marla Gibbs is my first autograph that I have, and she played the maid on The Jeffersons. Barbara Eden is I Dream of Jeannie. Jeannie C. Riley is a country singer. She sang Harper Valley PTA. Used to be one of my favorite songs. Now it's okay. Marion Ross, Mrs. Cunningham from Happy Days. Sharon Osbourne of the Osbournes. We all know who she is. Christopher Lawford is an actor, and he's also a Kennedy. He's related to the Kennedys. I'm not sure how. I can't remember. I think it's a cousin of some kind. Joyce DeWitt played Janet on Three's Company. Willie Nelson's a country singer. Malcolm Jamel Warner, he played Theo on The Cosby Show. Barbara Mandrell is a country singer. Sleeping Single in a Double Bed was one of her top favorites. Also, If Loving You Is Wrong, I Don't Want to Be Right. Melissa Joan Hart, Sabrina the Teenage Witch is one of her older shows. Also, Clarissa Explains It All was her other one. Joe Alasky is one of the actors from the show Rugrats. I think he played Uncle Stewie. Nancy Kerrigan is a figure skater. Kathy Lee Gifford from Regis and Kathy Lee. Now she hosts Today shows 9 a.m. hour with Hoda Kotb. I believe she's also on my list. Ron Glass played in a variety of shows. Judge Judy. Everybody knows Judge Judy. Whoopi Goldberg from The View, also Sister Act. It was her most popular debut. Annie Potts played Mary Jo Shively on Designing Women. Talk about going back. It's an old show that's sadly not on anymore. Hey, look, you can see me now. Jessie Coulter is best known as Waylon Jennings' wife. However, she also was a singer herself, and her top hit song was I'm Not Lisa, which I love singing sometimes. Davy Jones is from the Monkees, I think. Nancy McKeon played, I call her the witch on Facts of Life. Not Blair, but she was the newer kid that came in towards the middle. She's the punky kid that, you know, had a bad life and therefore thinks that she needs to be a bitch. And she also was on Strong Woman. Wrong show. But yeah, Nancy McKeon. Carol Burnett. Everybody knows Carol as the Carol Burnett Show, and she's the one that had the little signature ear pull. Jean Stapleton from the All in the Family, she was Mrs. Bunker. Richard Dawson from Family Feud. Pam Smith, I believe she's a singer. She's also an actress, and she played in one of the 70s shows that was on back then. B. Arthur from Golden Girls, Dorothy. She also played on Maude. She was Maude. And she did a spin-off of Maude from All in the Family, so she had a couple of appearances on All in the Family as well. Peggy Fleming, which is a figure skater, 1968 Olympic winner. And she's the best friend of Dorothy Hamill, who I also sent out a letter to her last month. So we shall see what happens there. Henry Winkler from Happy Days, he was the Fonz. Everybody knows him. And, of course, our beloved Valerie Harper, Rhoda. She's my favorite autograph thus far. Her picture is beautiful in the autograph that she sent. And based on the research that I've done with other autograph collectors, the picture that I got of Valerie is like a special one that she very rarely uses for her autographs. So I'm not sure what that's supposed to signify, but I'm happy that I have it, and once she goes, I'll obviously cherish it forever. She's my favorite. And if Dorothy Harper, there you go. Dorothy Hamill sends something, Valerie will be a very close second to Dorothy, because Dorothy's my inspiration. The whole cast of Reba signed a cast photo, so that's kind of cool. I only emailed Reba and got the whole cast, so that's kind of an added bonus. Here we go with the sun again. I'll try to block it out the best I can. Betty Garrett played Irene on All in the Family. She had a couple of scenes. She was like the neighbor. She was also on Happy Days a lot, too. She played the mother of the owner of the restaurant that Laverne and Shirley hung out in a lot. And she also appeared on Laverne and Shirley. Randy Mantooth, which played Johnny on Emergency. My friend Linda Lindman got me that on an EMT conference. So that was kind of cool. Trying to block out the sun. There we go. Kermit the Frog. Don't ask. I was in a kid mode that day, I guess. Barbra Streisand. Big hit number singer. That's a big one. Linda Evans, who played on Dynasty, I think, or Dallas, one of the D ones. And in the picture that she sent me, she has the same exact coat that I used to have. Sparkly and has butterflies all over it, you know. Tara Lipinski, who is also a figure skater. I was in a figure skating mood that year, I guess, as well. George Jones, country singer. Judd Hirsch played in Taxi, amongst other shows. Florence Henderson, Mrs. Brady, also a Dancing with the Stars alumnus. Neil Diamond. My mother hates me for that one because she loves Neil Diamond. Bob Newhart from the Newhart Show. Dawn Wells, who played Mary Ann on Gilligan's Island. Ann B. Davis is a special one. Ann B. Davis played the maid on the Brady Bunch. She's not a very well-known celebrity, so to get her was kind of a gift, I guess. Alabama, the music group. Twyla Paris, who is a Christian singer. She's the one that wrote and sang the song, He Is Exalted, amongst her others. Lamb of God is an a cappella song that the 1130 group at my old church uses a lot. And one of my favorite songs that she did is called The Warrior is a Child. I love that song so much. And it's actually been used for figure skating competitions as well, which is really cool. Dick Van Dyke from The Dick Van Dyke Show. Tony Randall from Odd Couple. Petula Clark, Australian singer from the 60s, or British maybe, I'm not sure. Downtown, Don't Sleep in the Subway, those are some of her songs. Cheryl Chase plays Angelica on the Rugrats. And I'm a big ball of fire again, I guess. Not too sure where to go here. Okay. Joan and Melissa Rivers, I have both of them. Clarice Leachman played on Rhoda. I think she made a couple of appearances on Rhoda, but she was mainly on Mary Tyler Moore with the gang of all of them, which I actually have pretty much the whole gang except the men. Isabel Sanford played Mrs. Jefferson on The Jeffersons. And of course, she also had appearances on All in the Family because Jefferson's spun off of All in the Family as well as Maude. Bob Barker, the old Price is Right host, which I think he's much better than the one they have now. Tanya Tucker, country singer, Delta Dawn. Betty White, obviously Mary Tyler Moore Show, Maude. And now she's on Hot in Cleveland. She's best known for the Golden Girls. She played Ditsy Rose. Connie Stevens, I believe she's a singer. Happy Birthday was one of her songs, or 16 Candles, or something like that. Anne Murray is a Canadian singer that my father loved. So when I got her autograph, I was thrilled. Rue McClanahan, Blanche on Golden Girls. She also played on Maude and had an appearance on All in the Family a couple times. Charlie Pride, country singer, Kiss an Angel, Good Morning. Gregory Sierra played on numerous shows, but for me, his most memorable appearance was on an episode of All in the Family where he actually ended up getting shot. It was kind of an emotional episode. Ken Osmond, who played Eddie on Leave It to Beaver, I think is the name of the show. Rose Marie, who played Sally on Dick Van Dyke. Don Gibson's an actor and singer. Kathy Najmy played on Sister Act. She played the bigger nun that was like overly excited. Can't believe we're going to Reno. You know, that one. That's Kathy Najmy. Maggie Smith played the Mother Superior in the first Sister Act. And she's also now most famous for her appearances on Downton Abbey. She was also the dean on Harry Potter. Phyllis Diller, of course, is a well-known comedian. Mickey Gilley is a singer. Pat Sajak and Vanna White, we all know who they are, going strong after 31 seasons of Wheel of Fortune. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is obviously RFK's son. He also does some acting. Stephen Collins played the father on Seventh Heaven. Crystal Gale is a country singer who is also Loretta Lynn's older sister. Barbara Walters, we all know and love her from The View in 2020. Well, some of us love her. George Lindsay played Goober on, I think it was Gilligan's Island. Patti Page, country singer, Tennessee Waltz is her most known song. Glenn Campbell, country singer, and the Statler Brothers is a country group. And lastly, we have Mary Tyler Moore. Next week, I will share the ones that I'm attempting to get this year. But before I continue on with our reflection corner, do you have an autograph that you collected that you love? Do you have something that is signed by a celebrity that you like? Feel free to comment and share. I can't stress the commenting enough. I want to get a discussion going and get all my readers and watchers to become fans of my show and actually interact with me. Just as they do with, the pages on Facebook of Dancing with the Stars or a favorite celebrity that you follow that, people comment and write and discuss. I'd love to do that with mine. Moving on to Reflection Corner. Today there are 3 saints that I will be talking about after the reflections are read. They're not well-known saints, but they are there. Some of our current saints that we celebrate have actually bumped off some of the original early saints. But thankfully, I have fact files for a lot of saints. And so now you get to learn about saints you never knew existed. Whistle was getting a little dry there, sorry. Today's readings come from the book of Jonah, chapter 3, verses 1 to 10. Then the word of the Lord came to Jonah the second time, saying, Arise, go to Nineveh, that great city, and proclaim to it the message that I tell you. So Jonah arose and went to Nineveh, according to the word of the Lord. Now Nineveh was an exceedingly great city, 3 days' journey in breadth. Jonah began to go into the city, going a day's journey. And he cried, Yet 40 days, and Nineveh shall be overthrown. And the people of Nineveh believed God. They proclaimed a fast and put on sackcloth, from the greatest of them to the least of them. Then tidings reached the king of Nineveh, and he arose from his throne, removed his robe, and covered himself with sackcloth, and sat in ashes. And he made proclamation and published through Nineveh, by the decree of the king and his nobles, that neither man nor beast, herd nor flock, taste anything. Let them not feed or drink water. But let man and beast be covered with sackcloth, and let them cry mightily to God. Yea, let every one turn from his evil way and from the violence which is in his hands. Who knows? God may yet repent and turn from his fierce anger, so that we perish not. When God saw what they did, how they turned from their evil way, God repented of the evil which he had said he would do to them, and he did not do it. Today's psalm comes from 130, verse 1 to 4 and 7 to 8. Out of the depths I cry to thee, O Lord. Lord, hear my voice. Let thy ears be attentive to the voice of my supplications. If thou, O Lord, should mark iniquities, Lord, who could stand? But there is forgiveness with thee, that thou mayest be feared. O Israel, hope in the Lord, for with the Lord there is steadfast love, and with him is plenteous redemption. And he will redeem Israel from all his iniquities. And today's gospel comes from Luke 10, verse 38 to 42. Now as they went on their way, he entered a village, and a woman named Martha received him into her house. And she had a sister called Mary, who sat at the Lord's feet and listened to his teaching. But Martha was distracted with much serving, and she went to him and said, Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to serve alone? Tell her then to help me. But the Lord answered her, Martha, Martha, you are anxious and troubled about many things. One thing is needful. Mary has chosen the good portion, which shall not be taken away from her. This gospel is known as the Martha and Mary gospel. It's very easy to put to our lives. Are we a Mary or a Martha? Are we carefree and able to sit and just take life with whatever happens, or are we the one that worries about everything? Obviously, we should be more like Mary and just chill out and deal with whatever happens, instead of becoming a Martha, which is worried about everything. I'm doing a short reflection this week because of all the saints that I need to talk about. Saint of the Day will be a new weekly thing, and there usually is more than one saint. So we'll see how it goes. The first one is Saint Demetrius. He is the patron of Belgrade and the Crusades. He was born in Thessalonica. Although Demetrius was likely a deacon who was martyred in Ceramum, which is modern-day Serbia, during the 4th century, popular legends about his life sprang up over time. According to one story, Demetrius was born to pious parents in Thessalonica, which is modern-day Greece. His father was the military governor of the city and a secret Christian who named Demetrius in his faith. When Demetrius succeeded his father as governor, the emperor Maximian ordered him to protect the city from Christians by executing them. But Demetrius confessed his Christianity instead and began teaching about Jesus. The angry emperor wanted to punish the defiant new governor. Meanwhile, Demetrius instructed Lupus, his servant, to distribute all his possessions among the poor. He is known as the Great Martyr. Maximian ordered Demetrius imprisoned and then executed, as the emperor's soldiers pierced Demetrius's body with their lances. Legend reveals that Lupus recovered his master's blood-soaked robe, with which he worked numerous miracles before he too was seized and beheaded. After the persecutions ended, 2 churches were built in Demetrius's honor, one at Sirmium and one at Thessalonica, where he is said to have protected the people from famine and war over the centuries. The Greeks called him the Great Martyr, and people during the Middle Ages saw him as a warrior saint nearly as popular as St. George. Indeed, the Crusaders adopted him as one of their patrons in battle. Today, Demetrius is still venerated, especially in the Eastern Church and in the Balkans, as a courageous early Christian martyr. Now, how can we live in St. Demetrius' footsteps? Telling the truth can be difficult, especially when you fear the consequences. Demetrius showed great courage by declaring his Christian beliefs. Centuries later, the truth is still sometimes difficult. Ian Icarno was bright and popular, but he was afraid of the truth about his drug problem. By hiding it, he died from a heroin overdose. He was only 20. To prevent others from turning their backs on the truth, Ian's mother, Ginger, formed the Courage to Speak Foundation, which encourages parents and children to break the code of silence about drug use. Speaking at schools, Ginger addresses such topics as the consequences of drug abuse, the impact of addiction on families, and the danger of silence when someone is in trouble. Ginger believes all kids are at risk and urges them to avoid drugs. Choose friends wisely and find adults in whom they can confide. To learn more about the foundation, call 877-431-3295 or visit couragetospeak.com. Basically, what they're saying is to always stand up for what you believe in, even if the consequences are bad. The truth is the truth, and the truth will set you free in the end, even when it's difficult. Next, we have Saint Reparata, who was a martyr. It's not known where she is born. Christian history offers little information on the life of Saint Reparata. What can be found in stories, legends, and hagiographies relates only to this young martyr's death. Research shows that she is a legendary figure, and due to her cult that was very strong in the Middle Ages, it is worth taking a closer look at her life. In many Italian cities, for example Naples, Chieti, Atri, and Florence, she is still venerated today. Tiano near Caserta is the main site of her cult. Reparata was probably born in Caesarea in the 3rd century under Emperor Maximinus. When she was 12 years old, Decius, a determined opponent of Christianity, became the Roman emperor. Caesarea was also affected by repression. Reparata was arrested and tortured to renounce her faith. At first, her persecution tried to burn her at the stake, but the moment they started the fire, a heavy rain fell over the city and extinguished the flames. Then Roman soldiers forced Reparata to drink melted tar. Again, something difficult to explain happened. She drank the tar and was not hurt. Finally, she was beheaded and her body was left outside the city. How can we live in Reparata's footsteps? Saint Reparata died a martyr's death. Unfortunately, torture still exists in contemporary times. Millions of people all over the world suffer from torture. In some countries, governments use torture officially. Others apply it in secret. In many prisons around the world, there are guards abusing their powers, using physical and emotional violence toward inmates. Torture also happens in families. where women and children are the main victims of abuse from their husbands and fathers. The Center for Victims of Torture was founded in 1985 in Minnesota. This non-governmental charity organization collects information on cases of torture worldwide. By publicizing and condemning these situations, they are encouraging states, organizations, and individuals to stop the practice. The organization also provides assistance to victims of torture and seeks better ways to help them. The CVT also runs a project which trains volunteers who want to help victims of torture. Our last saint is Saint Thyasis, also known as Saint Thyasia, a repentant sinner born in Egypt. The legendary Saint Thyasis was a prostitute, but under the influence of Saint Pathinatus of Heraclea, according to other sources, Bessarion, Serapion, or Saint John the Midget, a monk living in Egypt in the 5th century. She was converted and began a life of penance. She is described by many works, from medieval morality plays that popularized her figure, to stories found by the collector of legends about saints, Dominican Jacob de Vorgane, and by Anatole France. She is also mentioned by Dante in the Divine Comedy, Inferno, the 28th, and in Terence's comedy, The Eunuch. It is said that Thais was converted when a monk visited her, asking for a meeting in a secluded room. The prostitute ridiculed the monk and said that no place was hidden from the eyes of God, so it was not enough to seek a secluded room. But the monk's thoughts went in a different direction. He reminded Thais about the consequences of the sin in which she was living and to which she was leading many people. Thais radically changed her life. She started a harsh penance in a nunnery, and God accepted it as reward for her sins. One of the students of St. Anthony the Abbot, St. Paul the Hermit, announced a vision in which it was revealed to him that there was a place in heaven waiting for Thais, guarded by 3 allegoric virgins, one symbolizing the fear of hell, the second shame for sins, and the third struggle for justice. Living in her footsteps, Thais could have simply fulfilled the monk's wish, and then after his betrayal of the principles he had vowed to follow in his life, she would be able to mock him as much as she wanted. Then she would hurt him much deeper and would feel equal with him. The same happens in our everyday life. It is much easier to laugh at someone, to mock them, to gossip behind their backs, than to warn or help them. Few of us like to get unsolicited advice. Mind your own business is people's typical reaction. A child crying behind a wall, a neighbor calling for help, or 2 teenagers fighting in the street. How many people pay attention and react? Every year, thousands of children beaten up by their parents or guardians are brought to hospitals. Meanwhile, at home, we often talk about the fight in the street or the temperamental neighbor. We comment on their behavior and we feel better than these people. But are we really, if we do not react to the evil that we see? To close out this section of the episode, we have a prayer to Saint Thyasis. Jesus, you called sinners to you to show them divine mercy. Let thanks to your grace, the example of Saint Thais, encourage us to change our life and convert from sin. You live and reign for ages and ages. Amen. And before I end this episode, our fan of the week this week is Movie Matt Billadell. His name is Movie Matt because he's going to school for film, and he runs his own movie review week, which is what actually inspired me to start this show. So congratulations, Matt. You're the fan of the week, and I'll see you next Tuesday.